Hey guys, welcome to another Return to Ravnica 8-4. I'm Marshall, and yeah, we have opened a pretty sweet rare here with a Supreme Verdict. Really nice card. Wrath Effects Unlimited have their utilities. I think that Return to Ravnica is quite good. It answers some things that are pretty tough to answer normally, like a huge populate engine going, or even like a pack rat. Some other notables in the pack, well, there's not a whole lot. Azorius Arrestor, Gorehouse Chainwalker, I guess Eyes in the Skies, Assassin Strike's okay. This pack's pretty weak overall. I'm going to take the Verdict pretty easily here. See what we get past here. Well then, we got past a Mythic Uncommon. Vidugazi Guildmage is probably, I think it just is the best of the Guild Mages. It's extremely powerful card and can do some really sweet stuff. The good news is that we can splash Supreme Verdict or Vidugazi Guildmage, so we're going to be taking that. Let's see what else is in the pack. There's a Towering Indrik. That would go fine in our deck. Same thing, Giant Growth is a nice trick. Pursuit of Flight and Grim Roustabout. Kind of tough cards, but this pack overall is actually fairly weak as well. It's interesting, we've taken two very powerful cards out of two pretty weak packs. Okay, so now we get shipped two growing ranks. This is really interesting because whoever's on our left is probably going to take the other one, or at least there's a good chance they will. There's also a Centaur's Herald and a Courser's Accord, which we'd like both of, but I am going to just go ahead and take a growing ranks here. I like Azorius Justiciar quite a bit here as well, but I'm going to take the ranks and see if we can't make that card worth it. I like that we pick this up now as, we can cut going the other direction. All right, so I want to keep my eye out for cards that make tokens, but I'm not willing to go to Horncaller's Chant territory here. I am willing, of course, to go for a Centaur Healer, though. I like it quite a bit. I also like Arrestor, but Healer is just a very solid card, and I'm going to take it here. So again, we are looking to be Celestia here. We want to have token makers if possible. This thing pushes us in that direction really hard, and this does to a point. It is a token maker itself, but using its populate effect is much better than waiting around until you can actually use its 6 mana activated ability. Alright, well, I asked for it, and I got one, and I'm going to take it. I like Avenging Arrow a little bit as well. I don't like Brush Strider very much, but I definitely think we're going to just slam a Centaur's Herald here. Again, anything that makes tokens is what we're looking for. Along those same lines, we're going to take Eyes in the Skies here. More tokens, the merrier. All right, so no tokens available here. We do have a couple of options, though. We can take an Aerial Predation, just have it like mainly for a sideboard card. We can take a Dramatic Rescue, which is pretty nice to have in a deck like this, and we are going to be looking to splash the blue. Or we can just take a Guildgate or a Promenade. I'm not a big fan of Promenade. I like the card in general, but it ends up being often too slow. But I think I'm going to actually take it here. The Guildgate doesn't help us splash what we want to splash, and I think I'd rather keep that splash minimal. But this does help out quite a bit. All right, Giant Growth or Sundering Growth. All right, so we have two growths to choose from here. I don't want to take a Pithy Needle. I like Giant Growth a lot, but this deck feels like we're trying to do more powerful things than that in general. But a Sundering Growth is something I feel like we can pick up when we want it, and it's not even a main deck card. So yeah, I'm just going to take the Giant Growth here, I think. Alright, so Big Daddy Longlegs or a Savage Surge. I'll just take the Combat Trick. We'll just keep it simple here. Alright, so these are the packs that we open, and there's just nothing. These are all just bad. Probably take the best card here, I guess. Alright, sweet. So we got the Courser's Accord back. There's also a Swift Justice. I think Swift Justice is a better card than Courser's Accord, but I do want one Courser's Accord in this deck, and I think that's appropriate. I'll take the Chant, but I'm going to hide it for now. None of these are very good. All right, so again, I'm not like a big Courser's Accord fan, but when we do have a Vidugazi Guildmage, a growing ranks and the like, I think it definitely is really good. I think it's also really nice post Supreme Verdict. Like, the reason I don't love the card is just because oftentimes when you play something that like basically a creature that costs 6, you want to put something big, a 5/6 flyer. There's a couple of those in the set. Something like that that's just really hard to deal with and can finish the game. 2 3/3s is not insignificant, but it's also often, it just doesn't affect the board as much as you'd want. If they've got like a bunch of 2/2s on the ground, your 2/3/3s don't really do that much, where if you had like a 6/6, then it would. Now, there is some potential upside, of course, that you can get with a card like this, where if you populate something bigger than the other centaur, then you're getting value, but yeah, that doesn't happen that often. All right, so we open a hollowed fountain, and I think I'm just going to take it. I could use it for my MTGO collection / just tickets just for value, but also it really does go in our deck. It helps us splash this Supreme Verdict, and when I look through the rest of the pack, there's actually just not much here for us anyway. There's a Towering Indrik, yeah, sure, he'd probably make the cut. Maybe a Selesnya Key Rune, another card that's kind of nice to have in conjunction with the Supreme Verdict, but it's not that big of a deal. And yeah, I'm just going to take the Hollowed Fountain. All right, what have we? Well, we've got a lot of things for a deck that isn't ours. There's a Dreadbore at rare, which is sweet. Like it's easy to get a little too excited about it because it's rare, but it is actually really good. It's cheap, and it's unconditional removal. It doesn't go on our deck at all, unfortunately. Teleportal's a card that we're going to be kind of weak to, but really, there's just not much for us. Thrill-Kill Assassin, Dead Reveler, Annihilating Fire, all awesome. Frostburn Weird, awesome. None of them go on our deck. So we're looking at Armory Guard or Karazda Monitor here. We could also take a Selesnya Guildgate or an Aerial Predation. I think I'm probably just going to take the Golgari Decoy. I think that card's pretty good. It creates some weird situations, and we should be able to scavenge it back. I like it better than Monitor, so yeah, we'll take it. It's pretty unexciting here, though, to be honest. Ooh, here's some good stuff. All right, well, that just changed things right back around. So there's a Palisade Giant, which I don't like very much. I don't think this card is very good, although it certainly gets a lot better when you have just a ton of creatures. Like when you can just put out like massive amounts of creatures, it definitely gets better. But even then, just not a huge fan. Liev Sky Knight, huge fan. Love this card, but I don't think we need to stretch because like we could probably just take something like the Sunspire Griffin, be able to cast it easier, and have a flyer, if that's what we really want. I think I'm actually going to go for Tristani's Judgment here, though. We do lack removal at this point. We have Supreme Verdict, but we don't really have a way to kill other stuff, and it does populate, so why don't we go for that? Still keeping an eye out for anything that says populate on it, makes counters, or creatures, tokens. And we have 2 here, and this is actually a super interesting choice because I think Knightly Valor is awesome. I think it's like a super strong card. Way better than I thought it was when I first saw it in the set review show. The tempo hit that you get from being able to not only create an attacker the turn that it comes down, it feels like your guy has haste and battle in there with him, but also the fact that he can block and is huge, and he makes a guy that can block, it just changes the board state completely, and that's why I like Knightly Valor. Now, Security Blockade is a much cheaper option, though, and cheaper definitely counts. That said, I think I am just going to go for the Knightly Valor. I think it's I don't know if greedy is the right word. It's going a little bit big. Like, I think the Security Blockade fits our curve a little better and stuff, but Knightly Valor is just a huge windmill when it hits the table, and I really like that. All right, I'm going to take the Concordia Pegasus. I don't hate Risen Sanctuary, but I never run it. Like, it's one of those cards that, like, I can see its application in certain decks, but I'm not actually going to, like, put it in my deck very often. All right, so we've got Ethereal Armor, Eyes in the Skies, and Druid's Deliverance. There's a World Spine Worm here as well, but unfortunately that's just basically not playable. Like if you built your entire deck around it, maybe, but why would you do that? So that card's just not going to get it done. So Druid's Deliverance is pretty sweet, but I think I just like an Eyes in the Skies here. I don't really want the Ethereal Armor. I want to be concentrating on making tokens and populating them. Some people call this Fogulate, and I like it, but I think I'm just going to go for Eyes in the Skies here. It's just a little bit more proactive. Wow. Really? That's pretty late for that guy to go, but I am going to take the Druid's Deliverance here. Sweet. Phantom General's awesome in a deck like this, especially with 2 Eyes in the Skies. It can just change the way the whole thing plays out. All right. Now we're looking at a Towering Indrik or a Rogue's Passage. I really don't want any more 4-drops, but I really do want a Towering Indrik. And the Rogue's Passage is fine, but we're really looking more to create like a vast army of creatures as opposed to just one. Okay, this should not be here. Like, I'm not going to take the Karazda Monitor because I'm not going to play him. But yeah, I don't want to play double green and I don't want another 4-drop. But man, do I just take the Aerial Predation? Because like Dead Reveler's like a just a sweet card. Yeah, I guess I'll just take the Predation just in case we want it for our deck. And the Palisade Giant came back along with the Avenging Arrow, which is very promising for us. Again, Palisade Giant kind of showing that it's not that awesome. I do have to say, when you have a bunch of cards, though, it certainly can be better. I think I am just going to take Avenging Arrow, though. I'm really not that big a fan of Palisade Giant. I'll take another one, and then I'll let somebody have those. All right, so things are coming along. I'd like a few more token makers. I feel like we're pretty good on Populate. We've got a Deliverance, which might or might not make the main deck. We've got the Guild Mage, Double Eyes in the Skies here, Growing Ranks, and Tristani's Judgment. But I would like a few more ways to make tokens here in the early part of the game. I mean, Call of the Conclave is like the absolute nut for that. It's exactly what you want. You'll settle for things like Centaurs, Heralds, or Security Blockades. But I mean, really, what I found is that you really want Centaurs. I mean, you can make a bunch of 2/2 Vigilance Knights, and that's pretty good. Like, you can get there from that, but man, making 3/3 Centaurs, that's where it's at. That's where you want to be when it comes to this Selesnya deck. So let's see what we open. All right. Well, not a whole lot for us here. This pack was pretty disappointing, I'd say. Not a whole lot going on. There's a Mercurial Chemister, which unfortunately just doesn't go in our deck. I mean, the card is insane, and we could try to get greedy, but I just don't think that we really need to. So that leaves us with things like Brush Strider, Keening Apparition, Azorius Arrestor, Rubbleback Rhino. I mean, these are all very mediocre. A second Savage Surge isn't what we need. We've only got 7 actual creatures plus like 8, 9, 10. So 11-ish. So, you know, we've got dudes, but we could use a few more just like actual creatures on the battlefield, especially on this lower part of the curve. I think I'm just going to take the Keening Apparition here. I don't mind the Arrestor, but it looks like we're going to be going longer game, and this can really help take care of things like Stab Wound or, you know, just annoying enchantments. Plus, it's just a little bit better of a blocker. So, yeah, Keening Apparition over Chemister. Somebody shoot me now. All right, Rootborn Defenses, Centaur Healer, Azorius Arrestor. I really like Rootborn Defenses, and I really want to take it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take the Centaur Healer. I think that looking at the complexion, look at what our deck looks like, and it looks like we have a really good long game set up here. I feel like if the game goes long, it benefits us a lot. We start getting Knightly Valors, Coursers Accords. We get our Judgments online. We might even get our Growing Ranks going for inevitability. And this guy helps you get there way better than this one does. If we already had a bunch of creatures, then I would take this. But this is actually our 9th actual creature. That's just not that many. So I'm pretty happy to pick that up. All right, Dryad Militant or Selesnya Sentry. Yeah, I'll take the Militant. Sure. I like 2/1s for that. Ooh, a little rare here. Oh, man. Jeez. This pack is insane. Wow. Look at this thing. Precinct Captain, Centaur Healer, Vidogazi Guildmage, Knightly Valor, Avenging Arrow. There's even a Towering Indrik in this deck, or in this pack. This is nuts. I'm going to have to screenshot this one because this is just insane. All right. So what are we taking? I was going to slam the Precinct Captain because he makes tokens and then we can populate them, and I really like that, but I'm just going to take the second Guild Mage here. As much as I like Centaur Healer for the reasons I said, the power level of Guild Mage, I just don't think you can really ignore it. That's insane, though. That pack was just nuts. All right. So there's a Seller of Songbirds and a Selesnya Sentry. That's a lot of S's. What I'd like to do normally is take the Sentry because I just think it's a better card in general. It attacks better. It even blocks better. But I'm going to take the Seller here because it makes tokens, and I really do want to maximize on my token creation, especially because of Growing Ranks here. So New Prov Guild Mage, Ethereal Armor. There's another Dead Reveler, but nothing else we want. I'm going to take the Guild Mage here. I don't know that we're going to splash him for sure, but we might. And I like him better than the Ethereal Armor. Okay, Goblin Ooze, not a big fan. There's really nothing here but Sundering Growth. I will take it, and I will hide it. Axebane Guardian, Giant Growth, Stonefair Crocodile. These are interesting choices. The Axebane Guardian's kind of good because it helps pump out a bunch of stuff, and it also fixes our mana a bit. One of the issues, though, is that if we use it for blue fixing, that means he's dying, and that's not that great. We could just take another 3-drop with the Stonefair Crocodile, but you know what? We can't even activate him. Maybe I just take the Giant Growth. With all these tokens running around, Giant Growth is going to be a lot like removal, I think. Yeah, I'm going to take the Giant Growth and just keep it simple here. All right, not much for us. I could take the Assassin Strike or the Rubbleback Rhino. Assassin Strike is actually just not very good versus us. It's a good card, but it's not like very good versus us in general. Yeah, I'll take the Rhino. I don't think we're going to main deck it, though. I'm not really looking to. All right, none of these are really good. We're not. I guess I could take Mizium Skin just because we do have one Tristani's Judgment. Don't want to get blown out, but yeah, sure, whatever. I don't think that pick is like super important anyway. Yep, none of these I really care about. I'll just cut the downsize. I already have one Horncaller's Chant if I want to run one. I'm certainly not looking to. I'm going to cut the Deviant Glee here. That's the card that I least want to see across the table from me, so I'm going to cut it. All right, we got a bunch of playables here, and we're going to have to make some cuts. Deck looks pretty good, though. Like, we can definitely cut this. Probably cut the Decoy. Maybe not. It does look pretty good. All right. I don't think I want that one either, actually. Let's see here. One Avenging Arrow, probably. A bunch of Eyes in the Skies. Knightly Valor, Judgment. All these look really good to me. Indrik, Decoy. Maybe. Probably, yeah. And then these three, sure. Growing Ranks, probably not. Yeah, probably. These are in, these are in, these are in. This is in. I like splashing the... that guy. All right, so this is what our deck would look like. Let's take a look at, because right now we're picking between like Second Avenging Arrow, Druid's Deliverance, New Prov Guild Mage. These are all potentials. Roboback Rhino and Aerial Predation maybe as well. Concordia Pegasus if we think our deck just needs that 2-drop. So let's take a look at what we're looking at here as far as token makers go. So we've got Centaur's Herald. I'm not going to count the Guild Mages. I'm thinking that things that that we're going to be able to resolve, earlier. The Guild Mage kind of takes care of himself. Seller, Double Eyes, Knightly Valor, and Courser's Accord, kind of. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 6, and then technically 8 ways to make tokens. Not the best, but not too bad. I don't want to. What it means though is that I don't want to overload on things like things that just populate for the sake of populating. So I would rather just put another creature in. So probably just going to be a Pegasus here. Not a big fan of the Pegasus, but it's not too bad. And I think that since we do have so many like Eyes in the Sky stuff, we can double block and actually kill things that have 2 power in the air. So, all right, let's add some lands and forget that. Let's see here. So Promenade and Fountain are in. Again, not a huge Promenade fan, but I think it's fine as a this deck I think can support it just fine. 1 island, 6. That only gives us 6 green sources though. So what if I did it like this? That gives us 7 green sources, 8 green sources, 9, and then 3. Is 9 enough? Yes. Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah, that looks fine to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that. All right. Submit. All right, so let's see what this thing can do. It looks pretty sweet.